Welcome to Figure Feedback. My name is Jeremy, and today I want to show you some functional 3D printed parts that I use on a pretty frequent basis because most of the stuff that I print is not functional. It's really more decorative, things that are pretty, they're colorful, they look nice, they're fun to print, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's always good to have something that's useful that you can also 3D print with as well. So I'm going to show you a handful of things that I've been using for a pretty decent amount of time that I probably wouldn't have been doing had it not been for 3D printing. So let's take a look at some of those things. So let's start here in the kitchen. And what I got here is a part of the Gridfinity system. And Gridfinity is just so useful for so many different things. But I used it to help to organize this kitchen drawer because before this, I just had so many different random things just thrown in the drawer. And I wanted to put compartments here so that I can just sort of keep things in their own place without having to worry about stuff getting, too crowded and too cluttered. And the way that this works, and by the way, this little burnt mark that you see right here, I tried to laser engrave this and it didn't work out so well. But anyway, here's how the Gridfinity system works. It got these base plates down here, and the grids are of different sizes. So, you can get them like 3x2, 2x2. I mean, there's so many different variations of it. And then once the base is laid down, I had these boxes here is also part of the same system, and I wanted them to be raised like this to just sort of give a backing to some of the utensils and stuff. And then it just slots down really easily, and then everything can just be nice and neat. And because I couldn't stretch this all the way across, I also printed like these little pieces here, these little flat pieces, just to kind of round out things, make it like another little flat surface here. And then I had to do a little bit of measuring to know exactly what I needed in order to just clear this space here. But I was really happy with how this turned out, and it allowed me to just keep things nicely organized. It's not the nicest drawer in the world, but compared to what it was before, it is so much better. And another thing that has helped me organize and clean up a bit is this really big bin that I've made for basically larger kitchen utensils and stuff that I don't want to put in those drawers because that's how things got really cluttered in the first place. And I printed this on the Adventure 5M a long time ago, and it just fits some of these larger, bulkier items. My favorite knife, which is a cleaver, tongs, spatulas, like slotted spoons, like all that kind of good stuff. So this is a pretty good size. It's a miscellaneous thing. I just throw everything that's pretty tall inside of here, and it does a really good job of keeping this stuff out of the drawers and just up on the countertop. And what about hooks? Everybody likes hooks, right? There's so many different types of hooks that you can 3D print, and they're so fast to print. So I just printed this hook here, and I had some double-sided tape and stuck it on the back of the pantry door, and I'm hanging this little bag from that holds all of these random plastic bags that you get from like the grocery stores that are throwing them away. I like to repurpose these because it has a little slot on the bottom that you can just pull from. And this is also something that is very useful. You know what else is useful? If you look inside the pantry and you see something like this is a little smiley face chip clip. And I print so many chip clips, and for some reason I can't keep up with them. I tend to lose them. I don't know where they all go, but these are great for keeping your chips and stuff closed. So I got a whole bunch of those, and I like the little smiley face ones. I like the fact that they can grip around anything and they hold on pretty firmly, and I just keep them in there. And I also use them. I got this other clip here that I keep in the freezer to keep like this bag of French fries closed. And it's a really cool like lever system. I just hold that back, and then it just sort of opens like this, and then I can just squeeze it shut and it keeps the bag closed. And this is PETG. It lives in the freezer. It hasn't cracked. It hasn't broken. Hasn't done anything like that. It is held up beautifully and is a very functional part, but just trying to keep some of the frostbite away from these fries. this is something that I printed for my kid. So when she plays Uno, instead of having to hold the cards, she can just put the cards right into these little slots. So this can just be sitting in front of her and she doesn't have to actually hold them. And I use the emboss feature in Orca Slicer to just put her nickname right there. And then she just gets to use this. So this has been very, very useful. If you got like a hydroponic system, like an aero garden or something like that, you might lose the little tops that you can put on top of the aero garden to keep light from getting in there and creating algae. And I tend to lose those too. And I have some other hydroponic systems and it kind of gets mismatched. But I printed these and these can go right in there. You see how easy that just kind of went down? So now, whenever I decide to use this again, I can just have these blocking the holes that I'm not going to use to keep the algae out. And these can be really helpful as well when you 3D print them. A couple of things that I wish I could say were a part of my daily functional 3D printing life would be these 3D printed ukuleles. I have tried to print these ukuleles twice, and twice I have not been successful. They have failed for various reasons. But I think that I'm going to give this another try. I'm going to try another 3D printed ukulele. And just like last time, I am going to enlist the help of the good people and channel sponsor JLC 3DP. And then you can also have them do just regular 3D printing from PLA and PTG, ASA, ABS, especially if you need things done at scale. And then for resin, they got a bunch of different resin options, including a mystery resin. It's like a mystery box. So if you don't care what kind of resin your parts are going to be made from, and you want to save a chunk of change in the process, you can just have them do it that way. And then you'll still get a good part and you'll save some money. So if you need someone to create things for you at scale with 3D printing, go ahead and give them a try. You can go to jlc3dp.com or you can hit the link in the description. You'll also be able to get your hands on some sweet coupons there as well to save you even more money that way. And the prints start at just 30 cents. That's pretty freaking amazing. So yeah, go ahead and check them out, jlc3dp.com. So here's something that's pretty cool. Now, this is like a bug catcher, and you can actually print out more pieces of this handle in order to make it longer. But this is kind of cool because you can trap bugs in here and put them outside or wherever you're going to put them, just in case you don't want to touch them. Here in Georgia, we can get some big old water bugs, which are basically roaches, and they like to come out in the summer and they like to hang out in the kitchen. When you turn on the light, they scatter. But if you have this, you are able to put it down right over the bug. And then you take this compartment and you slide it shut. And this essentially traps the bug. And then you can pick this up, transport it to wherever you want it to go. And then once you get outside, you can just take this and just kind of give it a shake and it opens it up. And then the bug will just go free. So I keep this down in the kitchen. So when there's something here, I can just put this over here. You don't have to touch it at all. Close it up. And it doesn't even kill the bug. It just kind of traps them. But you just got to be careful that you don't shake it too much. Because if you're walking around and you're shaking it, you could just easily free it. And now it's running all over your floor and it's touching your leg. And that stuff is gross. But this is really helpful. I think I printed this on the Neptune 4 Plus quite a while ago. And then this, check out these two things. This is what a real desk looks like. This is something that I printed to hold my watch, my Pixel watch, and the charger is just run up through there and it's kind of like a press fit. And then I can just stick my watch down on there and it charges my watch. I use this all the time. And this is one of the first coasters that I ever printed. This is from Helldivers 2. On the Bamboo Lab A1. I've had hot drinks, cold drinks, wet drinks have been on here. And I think that this has held up good over time. Just regular PLA. I've never cleaned it. So, there's little specks and stuff all over it, but it's doing its job as a coaster. It's holding up so good. So this was a good print and it's nice and thick too. It's not a little thin coaster. It is a very nice and thick coaster. And then I got this clock right here. Now this is a Death Star clock that used to have a X-wing attached to it. and then it would just go round and around. But it fell off and it's somewhere maybe on the floor. I need to try to find it. And then if I do that, and when I do that, I'll just glue it to the seconds hand, and then you'll be able to see the X-wing going all around the clock there. But this has been holding up pretty darn good. And I stuck this hook on the wall because I think I was going to hang like a ukulele up here or something. And then I changed my mind. But the only thing is, this is up here with double-sided tape, and it is up there really, really, really good. And I think I might have just broken that handle. But yeah, I'll have to take that down eventually. It'll probably tear some paint off the wall, but this is a fun little thing, just a clock that goes round and round. Whenever I need to have a table mounted spool holder, I grab this. Now, this originally came with the Bamboo Lab A1, but this is something that I printed that can go with this. So I can just put a spool of filament on here, and then I can just run it directly off of the table. And I think that that is very useful for me. And one of the last things that I want to show you is, so I got this shoe stand here that you can put just one pair of shoes right there. And then you can just grab the other pair of shoes and just kind of stick that kind of like right there. And then you'll have a place to just keep your shoes if you just want to, just put them up against a wall or something. If you don't want them to be on the floor, whatever. It's just a shoe stand, So if you got a lot of shoes, it's cool to be able to stack them like this as opposed to just having them side by side and taking up a lot of space. So those are just sort of the main things that I just kind of have lying around here that are 3D printed that I find myself using more often than not. And those things are functional and you can actually get some use out of it. Now, there's other things I got around here too, like boxes that I've printed, like little storage solutions and things like that. But this is just some of the things that just came off the top of my head. So let me know down in the comments, what kind of functional prints do you have lying around the house that you use on a pretty frequent basis? So even though they don't take up the majority of the filament that I use, most of the stuff is for things that are more fun. It's still great to be able to show the more functional side of 3D printing as well. So that's going to do it for this video. Hope you all enjoyed it. And until next time, take care of yourselves. I'll speak to you soon.